When you think of cosplay, you usually think of cosplays from anime or from pop culture, from Marvel, DC, because these are what we cosplay the most. But technically, you can cosplay anything.
Anything! Anything! Yes, anything!
You can cosplay a stop sign, a fried egg, a celebrity, or the pirate in the picture frame from SpongeBob. The possibilities are endless. Dressing up is a creative expression that can be done out of dedication for something you love, or can be comedic. Think high-level cosplay competition versus person you see dressed up at a Halloween party. Both are so valid, but they chose to dress as said things for two different reasons. But when shouldn't you cosplay something? Or more specifically, when shouldn't you cosplay someone? Today, in light of recent events in the cosplay community, we are going to be discussing together and figuring out when is it okay to cosplay a real person? You may be thinking this is a pretty random question, especially for a whole video topic. Cosplay has no rules, there's no laws, there's no council, so what's stopping you from cosplaying something? Who am I to say you shouldn't? What's the problem with cosplaying a real person? Inherently, nothing. I can give you the short answer to this question now. It all comes down to intention. If you are cosplaying a person out of admiration, dedication, and respect, there's nothing wrong with cosplaying them. If it's done out of mockery or to make fun or light of something, it's not okay. And now is a really important time to be having this discussion. This issue has happened several times before in the cosplay community, and it's reared its ugly head again, where someone cosplayed a real-life person and it was insanely insensitive. I also think it's important because of the way we're starting to view and treat celebrities. Remember recently when Chapel Roan made a video being like, hey, you guys are giving me no boundaries, no respect. I don't appreciate this behavior of following me around and not respecting my privacy. I'm just a person. Could you please give me some respect? And the internet saw that video and went, wow, what a bitch. Which is the most insane response you can have. Let's get this into our heads. Celebrities are real people, no different than from you and the people around you. The only difference is that famous people, public figures, and celebrities have had their work accessed by more people. That's it. The only difference between a small indie artist playing guitar to a bar full of people and Taylor Swift performing at her concerts is how many people are in the venue. One doesn't inherently have more talent than the other. Before I really get into the swing of things with this topic, I do just want to mention that this video will have some triggers when I am talking about examples of when not to do this, and I will be displaying the trigger warnings on screen when they come up. Generally, cosplay is a way of showing your love for something. The characters I cosplay are characters I love from shows I love. When I spent 2 years making Devil Homura despite not knowing how to sew, and teaching myself stop motion and creating a complex sound design for our performance for the World Cosplay Summit, I did it because I think Puella Magica is incredible. When people go to a Taylor Swift concert and replicate her iconic looks or the elaborate sequin costumes that she wears on stage, that's just showing your love for Taylor. And it also allows them to connect with other Taylor fans at the concert. Going to a Chapel Roan concert in a red wig with her style of makeup, or wearing a miniskirt and go-go boots, also shows you're a Chapel Roan fan. Going to Dan and Phil on tour with cat whiskers on your face shows that you're a long-time fan, and it's also somewhat of an in-joke between fans now. Going to a fan meet and greet with an actor you love, dressed as the character they played, is a display of love and dedication. There is also one clear distinction in these examples I came up with, and that is an element of costume. Cosplay is costume play. If a celebrity is just like a regular looking guy, if you dressed as them, it would be more impersonation than cosplay. There's no costume to someone who is just being themselves. Chapel Roan is basically a drag version of herself. Taylor Swift wears dramatic costumes on stage. You are putting on the same costume as them in appreciation. But what if you dressed as Taylor Swift but did it like over-exaggerated in a way that was mocking her? What if you dressed as a buff male celebrity but made them really over-sexualized? Where's that line between appreciation and disrespect? Intention. Are you dressing as this person because it'll be fun, because you want to be like them, because you want to show your dedication? Or are you dressing as them to mock them or make them some sort of punchline? If you're making someone the butt of a joke, it's not respectful. These are real people. Just because they're not in the room doesn't mean it's not bullying and making fun of them. If you would be comfortable with the real person themselves seeing your costume, then that's a sign you're doing it right. You would be insulted by it, just don't do it. I also want to touch on historical costumes. Why is it okay to cosplay Rosie the Riveter or a Roman soldier, but it's not okay to cosplay Stalin or Hitler? I hope the answer is quite obvious. If people were hurt by the historical person you are dressing as, don't do it. If they are a person with victims, if they are a person who someone may see you dressed as them and be triggered or insulted, don't do it. Don't intentionally run the risk of making people upset. Especially from eras such as World War II, because that happened less than 100 years ago. There are still people alive who were victims of it, survivors of it, who lost families because of it. Don't make a joke of it in any way. Something like a Roman soldier or a crusader happened hundreds of years ago or millennia ago. Though they are still from a war or have involvement in war, people are separated from it now. The hurt has ceased. Speaking of insensitivity, let's discuss when it's not okay to cosplay a real person. With some examples. You may be thinking that a lot of what I'm saying in here is obvious, but that just means you've got common sense and decent morals. Recent incidents in the cosplay community aren't the first time this has happened before. When Netflix came out with the movie Monster about the real serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer, a TikToker thought it would be a good idea to cosplay Jeffrey Dahmer. That is gross. That face still brings fear, terror, and grief. There's nothing fun, creative, uplifting, or funny about cosplaying a real serial killer. More recently, there's been a big incident in the cosplay community where something like this happened again, involving two big name creators. Many people have already talked about this topic, and initially, when this happened, I wanted to make a whole video dedicated just to talking about Whole Wheat Pete's crimes against humanity. Because this isn't his first offense, but I could already feel how heated and upset I was getting myself over this, and I thought a video like this that was more discussion-based was a more healthy way for me to talk about this topic. Recently, at a convention, creators Whole Wheat Pete and D. Pitty cosplayed P. Diddy and Justin Bieber as a duo, and they performed for content skits that involve reenacting the sexual abuse that Justin Bieber went through and making light of it. There's nothing funny and there's nothing okay about any of that. Despite Whole Wheat Pete's 12-minute apology video that he just dropped as of me writing the script for this video that I managed to stomach about 30 seconds of, I still fail to understand what went through their heads. Many people have been asking this question in relation to this, which is, what's the punchline? What part of this was funny, or did they think was funny? And this shit not only hurts Justin Bieber and numerous other victims of P. Diddy, it also hurt these creators' friends. Creators who used to collab with Whole Wheat Pete have now come out to say how hurt and betrayed they are by this, and that they will no longer have any association with them. As they should. Whole Wheat Pete has been a nuisance to the cosplay community for a long time. I'm gonna try and keep this as short of a summary as I can. The biggest thing has always been there's been so much doubt as to whether he does check for consent when filming his skits. If you're not familiar with his content, he does a lot of skits that feature young women, I don't know how else to say it, where he cosplays characters who are attracted to the characters they're cosplaying, these young women, and trying to pursue them and harass them. A lot of cosplayers have said that they've had very positive experiences working with Whole Wheat Pea, where he's come up and asked for consent, he's gone through everything they're going to do in the skits, they've filmed, and it's just been that. I've heard other accounts where young girls have said they cannot get him to leave them alone, where the people with them are trying to push him away. It's just harassment. His repeated bit of yelling Nezuko in Zenitsu cosplay and throwing himself into walls has led to property damage. He pays for said property damage. But damage doesn't just get erased because you paid for it. I don't think some people understand this. If cosplayers show up to a venue for a convention that is decided to host cosplayers, and we show up and trash the place and do property damage and stain the walls and have Sharpie baths, that venue isn't going to host us again. And we lose the places where we can have these conventions, which are like, for most of us, our whole thing. And Whole Wheat Pea making fun, haha, throwing myself into walls and breaking things is encouraging behavior like that. Him almost exclusively cosplaying characters who are perverted or overly horny has always been a really big red flag for me. And his content has always been very over-sexualized, and he has a very young audience. Also, a lot of the characters he cosplays that are so sexual and horny are like 16 canonically. A lot of cosplayers are guilty of. Maybe it's a bit unfair, I'm singling him out for that, but I'm still gonna do it. And no matter what apology he comes up with for cosplaying P. Diddy and Justin Bieber is not going to be enough. The damage is done, and this is property damage you can't pay for. But if you're sad that it's time to unsubscribe from Whole Wheat Pea and unfollow DPD, I can literally recommend so many cosplay creators for you who have never had to make an apology for anything. Now, Hack Cosplays, who is one of those creators you should follow, pointed out that there were 2 people who committed this offense. It wasn't just Whole Wheat Pea, and not enough people are focusing on the fact that DPD did this as well. This was a duo. And I think for me as well, it's because there's some people like me who've been waiting for an excuse to talk about Whole Wheat Pea, but we can't forget what DPD did. He also had another major issue in doing this, in that he, in a way, did do blackface. Even though it wasn't face paint, he still had a mask pulled over his head to do the cosplay of a black person's face on his. There have been black creators who have come out and said, yeah, I'd count that as blackface, so I'm going to listen to that. Shit like that is offensive on another level again. This creator is also faceless, which there's no problem with being a faceless creator. VTubers do it, musicians do it all the time. But I do think, now this is me speculating, this is not a fact, that it may have given him a level of boldness to do this. If he was self-aware enough of what he was doing to think about the implications of it and potential backlash that he might get for it, the thought may have crossed his mind that at least he can safely cross the street without people calling him out and being like, hey, you're a dick. And also, without his face in it, jobs can't connect him to this. His personal life can't be affected by this. Both of these individuals committed an insensitive, disrespectful, gross act. And I'm glad that as a community, we're coming together to collectively call it out. The more we can call out behavior like this and ridicule it, the more we can get people like that out of the community and keep it the fun, safe place it's meant to be. Finally, how do you know when it is okay to cosplay a real person? How do you know your cosplay is okay? Well, based off all the things we've discussed in this video, I've come up with a handy dandy questionnaire for yourself. Has this person done anything that could make people upset just by seeing them? I feel like we've established this already. But if someone you're cosplaying has victims or people they've hurt or is a criminal, just don't cosplay them. Why do you want to cosplay this person? Is it respect and adoration, or is it to make them a butt of a joke? What aspects of this person do you want to represent? Are you showcasing an artist's creativity and talent through how you're dressing as them? Are you showing a comedian's great humor? Or are you showcasing things that you consider to be physical flaws on them, or exaggerating things, or representing parts of them that would set them up for bullying? What features are you choosing to represent and what aren't you? If you're dressing as someone from a different race than you, don't do anything to replicate their skin tone, eye shape, or anything that belongs to their culture that does not belong to yours. Would you feel comfortable if that real person saw your cosplay? If you wouldn't say something to someone's face, then don't say it behind their back. This is the same principle. In summary, intention matters. Cosplay should be about creativity and displaying your adoration and love for something. This community should be a fun and safe place. Don't be the one to ruin it with immoral or insensitive behaviour. And if you're subscribed to either Whole Wheat Pete or Deep Pity or anyone who's done really disrespectful behaviour in the cosplay community like them, just please unfollow them and don't give them attention. There is so much love, passion, dedication, friendship and community within the cosplay space. And you and I can keep it that way. In summary, be kind and think about the implications of your actions. It's quite easy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that it can help be part of a productive discussion and set some rules and expectations. While I did make this video as a way for me to talk about this without getting too heated, I definitely did get a bit heated, my apologies. This isn't my usual style of content, but if you're here because you like cosplay, then this is so the place to be. So subscribe, give the video a like, watch some fun cosplay skits, and enjoy your stay. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your support. I will see you later. Bye.